Seated, and so we'll begin. The candidates are in alphabetical order: Laura Libby and Guy Mueller. Now, the timekeeper to my right will assist you by indicating how much time remains and when to stop. And you, I'm sure, can see her clearly and her signs. Okay. So let's begin with your opening statements of up to 2 minutes. And the first candidate to speak will be Laura Libby.
Okay. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and all of you for coming out here tonight. I have been a homeowner in the Fair neighborhood for 15 years. I'm raising my family here, and I'm committed to the future of Crystal. I have a BS degree in environmental studies from the University of Minnesota. I have worked in research and as a local realtor. I know how to analyze data and accomplish mutual goals. I chose to stay at home to raise my children. This was important to me. I joined the local Moms Club after my son was born and am now the vice president. My son was born deaf, and that has thrown me into an advocate role that I wasn't expecting. I had to learn how to navigate special education. I became very involved with PACER and Minnesota Hands and Voices, serving on their parent advisory board. I continue to advocate for and work with families who have children who are deaf or hard of hearing. I also serve on the Northwest Hennepin Human Services Council. Just as I have been a powerful and tireless advocate for my son, I would put that same energy into our city. The people of Crystal deserve to be an equal partner and have their concerns listened to. Too often while I've been talking to people, I've heard that this isn't happening. A recent example of this is the Ramirez family, who have asked Crystal for an investigation concerning the confiscation of their possessions out of their home. This happened 4 years ago in Crystal by the Metro Gang Strike Force with no warrant, no charges, no explanation. The city is still refusing to meet with the family. Wouldn't you want to know that the city of Crystal would respond with more than a cold shoulder when you bring an important matter like this to their attention? I do support the Crystal Police Force. They are friendly and helpful and help keep our city safe, and we need that. Something just broke down here, and we should always strive for the truth. I am running because I think that we all matter, that we should all be heard and given respect by our local government. I will stand up for us all and work towards this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Guy Mueller.
Thank you to the League for hosting this forum. Were it not for my own mother's participation in the League of Women Voters and our dinner table conversations, I probably wouldn't be here tonight. These discussions taught me that as much as our lives depend upon the basics, food and shelter, they depend upon our togetherness, our sense and substance of community. My community is Crystal. It's been my home for 25 years. It's where my wife and I raised our 2 daughters. I have devoted much of my life to learning about cities and what makes them livable and vibrant. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in urban planning from Iowa State University and a Master of Public Administration degree from the Wharton Graduate School. I started my career out as the chief planner for the city of Joliet, Illinois, and then followed up with 31 years in private business management and ownership. Along the way, I stayed involved in public service. I can't get cities out of my blood. First, the Robbinsdale Planning Commission, the Crystal Park and Rec Commission, the Comprehensive Plan Task Force. Currently, I'm a director and the secretary for the Crystal Fund for Community Progress. With knowledge of both public and private sectors, I will bring a balance of skills and perspectives to City Hall. I am endorsed by the former mayor, 5 current council members, and many community leaders. However, I have not sought the endorsement of any particular party, neither red nor blue, neither green nor tea. The only colors I seek are those in the hearts and minds of Crystal's families. A single underlying theme guides my campaign: neighborhoods. We don't have a General Mills or 3M to boost the property tax base here, which in truth is very modest. From your front door, you can see who we are and what we have. We are a city of neighbors and neighborhoods. We must do everything in our power to protect them. These are our assets. Through the remaining question and answer period, let's discuss how we can do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you both very much. Now it is time for the audience questions. Audience, you can continue to write and raise your hand for a league member to collect your questions during the course of the forum. Again, I'll repeat that questions may be directed to an individual or to both candidates, and each candidate has the opportunity to respond to any question. And again, it is our intention to select questions that represent the interests expressed by the members of our audience who submit the questions. We do reserve the right to consolidate questions if there are several on one issue, so that as many issues as possible may be covered during this period. Questions will be answered in rotating order, and the first one to answer will be Guy Mueller. What do you believe will be your biggest challenge as a city council member?
Biggest challenge? Well, it's a wonderful challenge. I'm looking forward to diving into it. I think I have to recognize as a possible future city council member that politics is the art of the possible. We got to get along. I cannot impose my will on 6 other council members. I'm one of 7. So the first thing will be to listen carefully and find out what we can do together to work together.
Laura Libby.
I think the biggest challenge to our city, while we're losing local government aid, and I don't want to see our property taxes increased. I'm a regular working class citizen in this community as well, and these are impacting on me and my family. And I think we need to find ways that we can balance the services that we do want to have in this community and keep our quality of life high, and find ways that we can pay for those. Whether we're advocating for more local government aid back at the state capitol for our city, or looking for creative ways that we can do city operations that would save us money, things such as looking for energy efficient options, solar panels on buildings through rebates to reduce those kinds of operational costs. I think those are all things we need to look at.
Thank you very much. And here's the second question, and Laura Libby, you will be the first one to answer this question. Please tell us your position regarding how the city should deal with foreclosed properties.
With foreclosed properties, I think Minneapolis has had a vacant fee of $6,000. I know our community has one of $500, but I think we really should look at what those true costs are. Some of the properties have sat for a long time on the market. They are just starting to move a little more on their own now, but I think we really do need to look when they're bank-owned, if we really can put those vacant fees on that bank the same way Minneapolis has, the same way other communities around the country have done, to recoup the costs that cities have to have extra services on those properties. So, and I'm not talking about doing that when it's homeowners or individual citizens, but when these are the banks who are doing the foreclosures. And we want them to work with the homeowners more. I've heard too many stories of the banks that are just too fast to foreclose. They won't listen to people. They won't work with the people. And we want to encourage that as well.
Thank you. Guy Mueller.
Well, maybe I need to learn more about what Minneapolis is doing and what their great successes are, but I'm not sure that they should be replicated here in Crystal, and I'm wary of a $6,000 or $7,000 annual vacancy registration fee, because those fees are often passed through and stay with the house as an assessment, not paid by anybody. And if you're going to have a vacancy registration fee, it has to be based on vacancy. I don't think that you can segregate it or discriminate by who owns the house. If it's vacant for 30 days or 60 days, the charge goes to the homeowner. And we can have residents who leave their properties for good reasons, many valid reasons: military service, hospital stay, job transfer where you can't get your house sold in time. And you don't want those fees accumulating on those kinds of people. When those fees accumulate, you add grit into the wheels of commerce. I have a friend who has got a piece of property in North Minneapolis. He wants to buy the property across the street. It's it's a problem, let me tell you. It's not easy. I could go on.
Well, I think a lot of people would like to comment on that one. Here's the next one, and Mr. Mueller, you will begin with this one. Every citizen is concerned about safety in the community. As in other cities, we have seen that theft, vandalism, and burglary continue to be a concern. What do you think the City Council might be able to do to address these issues?
Well, that is an issue. That's one of the concerns that was brought up on the community survey. I think we all feel reasonably safe here, but we do have, I'm sorry to say, I'm going to be Crystal's can-do champion, but we have to deal with some of the problems too, and our property crime rates are above average, so we have to tackle those. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the solutions. A lot of them are clustered up around the commercial area around Bass Lake Road, but no neighborhood is untouched by this problem. So basically, I want to say to the police, men, women, I love you. I want to shake your hand. Let's get to work. But I'm also going to hold you accountable. We got to drive those crime rates down, because when people move into our city, they get online and they have their rating services about where to move, and they see red flags about Crystal, high property crime rates. We got to get that taken care of.
Okay, and Laura Libby?
I agree that we need to take care of the crime in Crystal. I don't want this to be a community that people don't want to move into or locate their business to. We should use the police to be out in the areas, as well as increasing our efforts with community watch efforts. The people are concerned about crime. I think the people would want to take parts in this as well. I think many people don't quite know how to get started with that, and the city should help facilitate that with the people as well, and something in conjunction with the police and the people to keep the crime rate down. Thank you.
Thank you. And you will be the first one to answer this next question. And I'm going to deviate a little bit here because we have so many questions on taxes. And I want you to be able to answer them as thoroughly as possible. So let's give each candidate up to 2 minutes to answer these. I mean, this is really going against the rules, but you know, when you have a stack of questions about taxes and you try to, you know, consolidate them, then you really I feel we need to give our candidates a little more time to answer these. So here's the kind of consolidation of a number of questions. Do you believe there is a need to reduce taxes and expenditures? And what is your personal goal for reduction? What areas of expenditures do you see cutting to meet that dollar amount? It's a pretty extensive question. And Laura Libby, will begin with you.
Well, as I've said before, I definitely don't want to just see our taxes increasing out of control. That's an impact on my family as well as it is on your family. But again, we have to be able to keep the level of services, the services that we all want to have in this community that is so great. And to do that, again, I think we have to be creative. I think we have to look for things that we can do, shared services that we do like the West Metro Fire Service, but look at other ways that we can share services with other cities to be able to have our costs down. Other ways that we can look for energy efficiency, as I mentioned before, to be able to reduce those operational costs, having things like solar panels, looking at more energy efficient cars for our city vehicles and our police force. These things could bring us real savings. I think we also have to look more heavily at the debt that we have as a city, because if we could also find ways to bring that down, that would bring us real savings into the future as well. I just think we have to have the creative kinds of services to do this. But we also could look at more expanding our business opportunities within the city of Crystal. I think we do not have more of the higher paying jobs and jobs that have more value that we could bring in when we have the Botno Transitway that comes in. I think we should find ways with our zoning to try to bring jobs like that into our city, and that would help increase our tax base, as well as I agree with what the EDA is doing in finding and identifying homes, and when they bring in bigger homes that they want to identify to bring into the city, again, to increase our tax base. All of these things will help lessen what is happening with our property tax increases. And if we advocate more for our city, that it is a big deal that the local government aid has been reduced, I think we need to find ways to restore that, to really reach out to the people in the state government. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Guy Mueller, do you need the question repeated? Or?
Sure.
Okay. This is a consolidated question.
I mean, yes, please.
Do you believe there is a need to reduce taxes and expenditures? What is your personal goal for reduction? And what areas of expenditures do you see cutting to meet that dollar amount?
Well, I think we should hold the line on property taxes as best we can. And the current council, to their credit, did reduce the levy 0.1%, which is not a huge decrease, but at least it's in the right direction. And I would like to see them level off. But, you know, this really cuts to the core issue of government. How do we get the best dollar value for the dollar invested? City staff is a big expense, but where do we cut? We just have to be diligent on that and keep an eye on staffing levels, pay scales, benefits, all of which must be reasonable but not excessive. The city is one of the largest employers in the city of Crystal. I think we're the number 4th employer with 101 employees. On our capital improvement scheduling, we need to look at those projects. There may be opportunities for us to extend the interval of the capital improvement. Rather than just doing it on a regular 5-year basis, we may be able to get extra life out of a road. We may be able to get an extra life out of the outfield fence. We may not have to replace the playground equipment this year, maybe next year or the year after. We need to look at what kinds of equipment other cities of similar size have as a benchmark to see if what we're doing is proper. Intergovernmental cooperation is always something good to look at, not necessarily a home run all the time. You know, it depends. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. So, and then I could talk maybe at another time about local government aid, fiscal disparities, market value exclusion. But all of these things have an impact on our city, and we need to strengthen our advocacy mission at the state capitol, the Met Council, the League of Minnesota Cities, and others. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And you will answer this question first.
Okay.
What do you think about the future role of the Joint Water Commission and the proposal to drill new wells?
Okay, there's a lot of different options there. One is just to sit back, and this is one of these things about how do we save some money for the taxpayers. Do we really need to do this? We've lived for how many years and decades using Minneapolis city water without a hiccup. So I'm not sure where the urgency for this is coming, but I'm willing to read, listen, and learn about all the whys and wherefores for this to be done. But certainly Minneapolis could do the auxiliary well drilling. The Joint Water Commission could do that. The problem I see with drilling wells is, then we have to maintain them. That has labor implications. If we're going to drill wells, maybe we ought to drill wells for our own water supply. But I will tell you that is a politically charged issue, and I don't think we have the political and emotional wherewithal to deal with that issue at this time. What else can I say? You know what? I like the city of Bloomington. How much time do I have?
One more minute.
Oh, a whole minute.
Not a minute.
Anyway, hey, just for fun, take a look at the city of Bloomington. They have a tie-in with the Minneapolis water supply, so they have backup that way. They have their own deep wells. They do centralized treating and softening, so you don't have to lug bags of salt into your basement. So you get good quality, soft water, dual emergency backup, city of Minneapolis, city of Bloomington, and their water rates on the water utility rate portion is about half of what ours is.
Okay,
So,
thank you. We're going to give Laura a little extra time, too. We had a little hiccup here because of giving you some extra time on the taxes question.
okay.
So, Laura, you're going to get a minute and a half. Okay. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure, repeat the question.
What do you think about the future role of the Joint Water Commission and the proposal to drill new wells?
Well, I think the role of the Joint Water Commission is the way we should be purchasing our water, having the shared water between New Hope and Golden Valley and us. It saves us on buying from Minneapolis. The drilling the well is for an emergency situation. It's the federal emergency plan dictates to cities that it would be a good idea to have something ready. I would think if we did something more like what Guy is talking about with Bloomington, that we would have more operational costs to have to clean the water more and get it more ready. My understanding in the wells for the emergency are that they would just be ready for like 1 day or 2 days till other water could be found. That it would be a lot more work and a lot more maintenance and a lot more expensive if we had that well working all the time for us. So I am happy with the way the Joint Water Commission is working right now between us and the other two cities.
And thank you very much. And you will be the first one to answer this question. We are in a time of a burgeoning local food movement. What role do you see the City of Crystal and its residents and business owners playing in this movement?
I think Crystal there's a lot of opportunities Crystal could have. We could have a farmer's market. New Hope has a farmer's market and it has been doing very well. There were so many producers locally that other producers have been shut out and can't get in there anymore and would love to have the opportunity to have a place to sell. And I think the residents of Crystal would love to have that as an option here in their city. And we could turn that into so many things, a community building place as well. I also think there's a lot of support for backyard chickens. I hear it when I'm out talking to people. And I really think that is the direction that people should go. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for locally produced food to be able to show your children where your food is coming from, the connection, and could be tied in with the farmers market as well. If we could get into schools, I think there should be more healthy food for children as well, but that's not part of the council. So thank you.
Thank you. And Guy Mueller.
Okay, I just want to say something on the Bloomington situation. It's just there for information. I'm not advocating that. All right, backyard composting, chickens, farmers markets, being a homeowner farmer, they're all worthy endeavors. This is a free country. You can do that in Crystal, I think, except for the chickens, and I think we can get that fixed for you. But, you know, we need to keep our focus on what the core functions and responsibilities of city government are. Should we be tackling our property crime problems or should we be chasing chickens? Guess what? I'm a multitasker. I think we can do both. But crime reduction is the more important priority. You know, and I also think we need to live and let live a little bit. If you want to have 3 or 4 hens in your backyard, fine. If you want to feed and maintain them daily, fine. Please do so. On the other hand, if you're harried working parents and you're trying to get home and you need a dozen eggs and you stop at Olmsted's and you lay down a $5 bill and you get a dozen eggs and a little bit of change back, that's okay too. This is a big city. There's 22,000 here. We don't all have to drink the same color of Kool-Aid.
I knew we'd get to backyard chickens sometime. Now we're going back to some of the financial questions because there are just a lot of them. What impact has the reduction in local government aid had on Crystal finances? And Guy Mueller, you will be the first one.
Well, it's a big deal, and this is one of my passions. I don't know why. I'm interested in public finance and the context in which public finance policy is made. And we do face some challenges. A local government aid was a part of the Minnesota Miracle put together by the country's greatest generation. I believe that the program is valid. It's undergone a lot of ups and downs lately. It needs to be stabilized at a reasonable level. What else can I say? I can't. You know, we have a bad tax base in the city. We have to tax ourselves at 3 to 4 times the rate to get the same amount of per capita income that our wealthier suburbs do. This is a valid program, so we need to keep it. Yes, we can look it's be a good exercise to look at how we can live without it, but it would be tough. We had about $2.5 million a year back around 2000. It's down to $1.4 million. That's been, in real dollars, it's cut in half.
Thank you very much. And Laura Libby.
Yes, I think it is very significant that we have lost that money in the last 10 years. I think that is a big reason why our property taxes have been going up, and we should advocate. That should be a role at the city, that we work with the state government to try to express to them how important that is to us and how hard that is for a city like Crystal. We don't have a tax base like some of the other communities do. Those are things, and I've spoke about those before, we could definitely work on that, but I think we also do need to be advocating for that local government aid. It is very hitting us very hard, and we need to keep our property taxes from going up anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, another financial question. And this will be for you first, Laura. How has the new market value exclusion impacted Crystal, and what can we do about it?
That is not something that I am very familiar with. So I know that has something to do with the way the valuation on the houses are, and it affects the rates of property tax that we pay, and we have to pay more in property tax. I'm not super familiar with that one, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not the expert on it either, but my understanding is that we used to have a homestead credit, and it was a tax benefit to owners of modest-priced homes, and that was a reduction to the city's property taxes, which was reimbursed by the state. The state stopped doing that. They put in the market value exclusion, and they require the cities in which the house is located to pay for that tax benefit under the presumption that that would be better accountability and transparency. But it's really not. It's really a mean-spirited thing. It requires the communities that are least able to afford it to pay for their tax benefits, while the Edinas and Eden Prairies of the world get off pretty much scot-free because they don't have a lot of affordable housing. We need to fix that. We need to strengthen our advocacy mission. I'm on that.
Thank you very much. It gets complicated, doesn't it?
Yes,
You
it
start
does.
talking about all these different ways we pay taxes or get tax relief. Here is a question that is a little different than one on taxes. I have heard talk of the need for Crystal's police department having a dedicated canine unit. What is your position on this need? And we'll start with you, Mr. Mueller.
Well, I'm concerned about the ongoing costs and operations, but I'm told that the private donations on this are going to cover it pretty much in perpetuity. I hope so. I hope that we can share the canine services with other communities nearby, and if it's a technique that helps us to reduce our crime rates and to take care of difficult issues and maybe generate a little good PR for the city during Night to Unite or visiting school groups and such, sounds like a pretty good way to go.
And Laura Libby.
I also would think a lot of what Guy said I would agree with, that if there's ways we can share that with other communities, we should. I don't know how much we need to be taking on or how much that actually deters the crime or affects the crime in our city. I would need to know more about how they're using that and what the costs are. If there are grants that and private donations that are covering that, then that is great. I don't want that to be something to raise taxes in our city, but maybe there are other things if the money runs out to look at shared services with that. I'd be very willing to look at lots of things with shared services. So, but I wouldn't want that to be something that would increase property taxes into the future.
Okay, and here is our last question. And we will begin with Laura Libby. If you were to address students at Cooper High School, what would you say about the role of taxes for our community?
Well, taxes are necessary to provide for us the communities in which we want to live in. They're for our roads, for our parks, for all of our necessary services, for water. Without the taxes doing that, we may not have the communities we want or all of these services equally for all people. It equalizes and makes sure that we do have the quality of life that we want to have in our community.
Thank you. And Guy Mueller?
That's a classic question.
Isn't it a great question?
You know, what would you do if you had a fire? Would you have your own personal fire department? That would be kind of a problem. What would you do if you had a burglar come to your house? Would you have your own private security guard? No, you'd probably want to call the city police. They're your friends, actually. The same thing when it comes to flushing your toilet. Think about that. I mean, you could have your own septic system, I suppose, but it's for a city like us. We are an area with 3 million people in it. It gets to be a little bit problematic. We need to treat it at Metro Waste at the Pigseye station. So it just goes on from there. You know.
Sounds like you both have fun talking to them. So now we have reached the final segment of the forum, when each candidate has 1 minute to give a closing statement. And we'll begin in reverse order from the opening statements, and that means that we begin with Guy Mueller.
Well, protecting our neighborhoods, that's the theme. There's really no greater priority than this in our city. But what does it really mean? It means reducing our crime rates. It means staying on task with our code enforcement and move-up housing programs. It means calming the traffic in the neighborhoods, improving the major intersections along 36th Avenue, promptly plowing them out in the winter. It means being sensitive about our property tax burden and strengthening the advocacy mission of the city at the state capitol. It means improving the water quality of our local streams and ponds, composting and recycling 100% of our solid waste, and reducing energy use and costs. It means fostering a stronger sense of connection among our neighbors and making sure that their voices are heard at City Hall. Finally, it means electing an experienced leader who will champion our neighborhoods and our city as a whole. I ask for the honor of your vote so that I can start, so that I can devote my full-time working energies to being that champion. And remember, on November 6th, I'm the only guy on the ballot. That's G-U-Y, Guy. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we'll give Laura Libby equal time here. You have a minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all again for coming out tonight, and the League of Women Voters for all the hard work putting this together. My strong leadership, communication, and values will help Crystal make solid decisions for a sustainable future. The impact we have at the local level is very great, and I will approach all issues and people with respect while truly listening to your concerns. I have the same concerns that you do, to keep our community safe and strong. There is nothing more important than feeling safe on the streets and in your home and keeping Crystal a desirable community to live and work. I would work hard to balance sound financial management with our expectations of service and quality of life in Crystal. I think there are many creative changes our city can make to build our community and make us stronger and more prepared for the future. We covered many of these issues here tonight, and you can also see more information at my website, lauralibby.org. If you want to see real change in Crystal, then I am the candidate to choose. It is my goal to change the way Crystal informs, responds, and connects to the people. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You've heard from the candidates for Crystal City Council from Section 1. We heard from 2 candidates for mayor and for a candidate from Ward 4 who's running unopposed. And the City of Crystal is very fortunate to have such fine candidates running in their election. So we want to thank you. And I want to thank the audience as well for their part in the forum tonight and the fine questions covering many different issues that they wanted to ask the candidates. Now, for our audience who is listening or seeing this on cable, we say that your part is to vote in the election on Tuesday, November the 6th.
Okay. I also would like to thank the candidates and our moderator, Joanne Brown, for participating in this forum. The election will be held on Thursday, November 6th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Tuesday.
Did I say Thursday? Excuse me. You know it's Tuesday. All right. If you are not a registered voter, you may register at the polls if you have been a resident of the state for at least 20 days before the election, have a valid Minnesota driver's license, learner's permit, or Minnesota identification card or receipt for any of these, showing the correct address in the precinct. You may also register accompanied by a registered voter in the precinct who will take an oath along with the election judge that you qualify to vote in that precinct. If a member of this audience or our cable TV audience feels an issue has not been adequately addressed, League of Women Voters urges you to contact the candidates directly. Campaign literature provided by the candidates is on a table in the hallway outside this room. The League of Women Voters encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding and major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Membership is open to men and women of all ages. For more information about the League of Women Voters, visit www.leagueofwomenvotersmn.org and follow the prompts to our local league, the Crystal New Hope East Plymouth League. We would also encourage you to become a member as we provide service to our community and to join us in the nonpartisan study of local, state, and national issues. Please pick up some of our league's information available here tonight, especially the Voting Guide 2012 put out by the League of Women Voters Minnesota and Target. Tonight's forum will be replayed on Northwest Cable Channel 12 at these times on Thursday, October 25th at 8:30 p.m. and 11 o'clock p.m. And you can also pick up this sheet of paper on your way out, too. Thank you very much, and happy voting day. Tuesday.